Hello, my name is Bean, and welcome to Let's Play EarthBound Beginnings. EarthBound Beginnings is the first entry in the EarthBound franchise of video games, or the Mother franchise as it's known in Japan. The EarthBound series is a series of loosely connected RPGs. There's 3 titles in the franchise. The main connection between them all is that they all take place in this kind of surreal parody version of Western America, instead of the traditional setting for these types of games, which is like a, medieval type setting. So instead of using, swords and magic to deal with enemies like goblins or dragons, you're using a baseball bat and psychic abilities to deal with crows or hippies or policemen. The cult behind this franchise is very well documented. It's one of those games where the popularity of it kind of spread almost exclusively through word of mouth. And not a lot of people play them, but those who do are very passionate and vocal about it, and seems to have kind of a profound impact on people. And those who do play it and love it kind of hold it very close to their heart, myself included. It's one of my favorite video game franchises. Of course it is. I probably wouldn't be going through this effort if it weren't, right? So, very briefly, I'm going to go over this particular entry's troubled release history in the West. In 1989, it was released in Japan as Mother, and was very successful there. Plans were made to localize it, and in fact, a small team led by Phil Santop almost completely did localize it. It even went through Nintendo of America's rigorous censorship policy at the time, so all references to drugs, alcohol, violence, religious iconography was all omitted from the game. It was pretty much ready to go, except that by the time it was finished, the Super Nintendo was already out, and Nintendo decided that since RPGs like this were kind of more of a niche thing than like a guaranteed moneymaker, they just decided it wasn't worth it to release. So it got shelved. In the late 90s, a prototype surfaced online, and that was kind of the first time Western gamers really got a taste of this game. And there were rumors about that the prototype was fake and that it was this or that or the other. But eventually Phil Santop came forward and confirmed that yes, this was the prototype that he had worked on, that he had translated. And that was that for a while. Finally, in 2015, the game finally got an official release in the West through the Wii U's Virtual Console system, and it got an official name of EarthBound Beginnings. So, as you can see, we've started the game. We've got our hero in his room. That little menu there is how we're going to be interacting with most of the world. We can look at our state. You can see we've got a number of stats at various numbers. I'm sure those all mean something. We can change our controls if we'd like to. We can increase the fight message speed. I'm going to do that because we've got a lot of fighting to do and not a lot of time to do it with. We can look at our goods. All we've got right now is a cash card. That's all you really need, frankly. And we can look at our psychic abilities. The only ability we have right now is telepathy, which is not much use to us. Talk and check are the 2 commands that we're going to be using mostly to interact with the world around us. So we tried to leave, but unfortunately, the lamp is going to attack us. So here's the combat screen. We've got a number of commands at our disposal, but all we can really do right now is our base fight attack. See that flash of green and that smash text? That means that we got a critical hit. That's this game's critical hit system, is the smash text. So we're going to keep fighting this lamp. He's not really doing much damage to us. We're not doing much damage to it, but we ultimately win anyway. Thank goodness. So, looks like our house is still under attack, so we better take care of this lamp. Now, if you fought one lamp, you fought them all, so I'm going to skip through this fight. I'm going to be skipping through a lot of these fights, honestly, because I figure there's not much thrill in watching me, repeatedly press A. especially with these early fights, I don't really have much option other than my base attack. I don't know any psychic attacks yet. I don't really see much need to prolong this longer than it needs to be prolonged. So let's fight a doll. He's got a pretty creepy sprite, but other than that, the fight goes pretty much as you'd expect it to. Except at the end of it, we level up. And so a number of our stats increase. The more experience you get, the more level up you get. That's how leveling up works in pretty much every RPG, including this one. And with that, the phenomenon has stopped. So, how are you doing? Are you alright? Well, I mean, that's one reaction to the events that just unfolded. So let's follow her advice, let's check the doll, and inside the doll, what do we find? Well, we find a little melody. Great, cool. It's not entirely clear right now, and it won't be clear for a little while, but our main objective in this game is to gather those 8 melodies. So we fought 2 lamps, a doll, and then we gathered a melody from inside of a doll. So this game's pretty crazy. Like, for 1989, this game is, like, pretty off the wall. We're gonna call our dad and see if he's got any, answers for us. Sure enough, he knows it was a poltergeist. Hey, our great-grandfather, we learned about him in that big wall of text that happened while I was explaining the release history of this game. Well, it's time for us to go on a little adventure. Our first objective is to get into the basement. Oh, and of course, we can save the game by calling our dear old dad. So, let's step into our yard. And let's go talk to our dog, I guess. We can talk to animals because we are psychic, I guess. Let's follow his advice and check the dog out. Also, this is a very good dog. He can stand on his hind legs. So yeah, checking out the dog gave us the basement key. There was nothing in the doghouse. I thought there might have been something in there, but there wasn't. Let's talk to our little sister. Our little sister acts as a inventory storage system. This will be helpful later because we only have 8 slots in our inventory. We don't really need to use her right now, but we will. Because 8 is not enough for the amount of things we're gonna need. It's very restrictive. So we got our great-grandfather's diary, we got a plastic bat, and we're gonna get some bread from the presents. The presents are this game's kind of treasure chest. It's a very charming approach to treasure chests. This game is very charming. We're looking at our grandfather's diary. It's old. We could have eaten our grandfather's diary if we wanted to, but the game would have given us some, you can't eat that text. We'll equip the plastic bat, and good thing we do, because here's a rat. This battle goes pretty smoothly. I skip it because it's not really worth watching. Before we go, let's talk to our sweet, sweet mom. She's gonna cook us a meal. We can talk to our mom at any time, and she'll give us our favorite dinner, roast beef, and fully heal us. Free of charge, of course. Because, what are moms for, if not to restore all of your HP and PP. PP is psychic points, not urine. We call our dad, and our dad deposits money into our bank account, and also tells us how much experience we need to reach the next level. And then saves our game for us. We've got very supportive parents, and I think that's a very charming element. You're gonna hear me say that word a lot, charming, because this game is charming as hell. We're gonna read this sign and find out that this is our home. It belongs to us. So let's go. Now, I decided not to skip this fight for a couple reasons. I want to show off the auto fight system. Basically puts the game on autopilot and has our character do his base attack by default. The crow steals our bread, which is rude. But I can't stay mad at that crow because that's a really good sprite for a crow. He's wearing cool shoes. He's just happy to be here. Yeah, I just like that crow a lot. But he became quiet and we won. That's another thing about this game, is that you never really outright kill or defeat enemies. You just kind of make them quiet or like calm them down by hitting them, I guess. Also, this poor lady is in a panic because her little Pippi is gone. If we're going to Podunk, we'll have to let the mayor know. I try entering her home, but I cannot. I continue down south and run into another crow. Now look at my HP during this battle, and you'll get a sense of how unforgiving this game is. I'm down to half my HP already, and that's just leaving my home and going to the first town. This game doesn't really pull any punches, and it's kind of notorious for being very, very ruthless and unforgiving. Here's the world map. You can see our home and Podunk, which is the first town that we just entered. It's a decent sized map. We've got a lot of places that we're going to be going to all over the place. So here's the first citizen of Podunk. Now, as is tradition in these types of games, the first thing you're going to want to do when you arrive at a town like this is talk to everybody. Generally, people are going to give you either gameplay tips, like this mouse who tells you the door convention of the game, or they're going to tell you, story-based stuff, what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be going. The big difference with the Mother or the EarthBound series is that it was kind of created by a man named Shigesato Itoi, who was already a copywriter and an author in Japan. So instead of this text being written by a game designer and then translated poorly and clunkily, you have a game where talking to all these NPCs is not a chore. In fact, it's kind of a joy because all the text is it's just really fun. That's a fun exchange that just happened there. I don't know, I like it. So that's a big innovation in this game, is that it's not written by a game designer, it's written by an actual writer. And so that's why these games hold up much better than their peers, in my opinion. So talking to people, we learn a couple things. We learn that there's a zoo to the northeast where the animals are going bonkers. We learn that there's a cemetery to the south where the dead has risen. And we also learn that there's a canary village to the northwest. This guy's got a crush on the city hall receptionist, and, frankly, I can't blame him. Oh, look at that. She's got secrets that she's willing to share with me. So let's talk to the mayor and get our first objective of the game. The mayor's got a very charming little hat on. He's up for re-election. He's a mayor. He's a classic corrupt politician. What a good classic character archetype. So she wants me to bring back that lady. Now the rest of this video is just going to be edited together, various dialogues throughout Podunk. This lady tells us how cash machines work, even though she doesn't really have a use for them. That's a kind of nice little wink at the trope of characters telling you things, even though why should they be telling you these things? Oh god. Let me tell you, I really like these games. These games hold a special place in my heart. So that's pretty much it for the first video. We're going to close out by withdrawing a little bit of cash from the ATM so that we can use the payphone to call our dad. The payphones cost $1 to use, but we're going to take out 5, because, I don't know, we're big spenders. That pretty much sums it up for the first episode of this series. Next time, we'll be going to Canary Village, and we'll also be rescuing Pippi from the cemetery to the south. Thanks for watching. Stick around for next time.